cozy bathroom with a standing tub. It looks like the water would be warmed and brought in separately, as you don't see any internal plumbing in this room. You open up the cabinet, and the shelves are bare save for a few things. A small silver hand mirror, your reflection is distorted by it, drowning underneath swirling purple energy. You can feel some kind of pressure emanating from it while you hold it.
Hello, beautiful.
It's a shame the mirror is so small. You wish you could see just how big you are right now. A small room with old worn pieces of clothing laid on the ground. The floor and walls are covered in watermarks and wooden ceiling beams are slightly warped from overexposure to steam. A small sink with a water spout for soaking dirty laundry. A couple of old washcloths have calcified onto the sides of the sink and are unpleasant to the touch. You turn the spout, and the old pipes within the walls rattle loudly, but no water comes. You dig through the basket of clothing and are greeted by crusty and mold-feeling shirts, socks, and the like. Though hiding in the middle, you find a pair of gloves that you find interesting. They have an ornate pattern along the backs of them, and they are quite clean, almost unnaturally so. A rack for drying after washing. Various pieces of cloth hang from it. Supposedly these were clean at one point, but given enough time, everything will become dirty once again. Either way, there is nothing of interest here. Use the gold key that you found and unlock the door to the servants' quarter, the master bedroom. A large bed takes up the majority of the space in the room. An awning hangs over the bed and gives the room a regal feeling.
You don't suppose that there is any clothes that could fit us in there, do you?
Gina asks, though the tone of her voice indicates that she does not have her hopes up.
Sorry, Gina, don't think this is our style, unfortunately.
You open the drawer to the nightstand, and inside you find a wooden box with a bunch of strange patterns on it.
Ooh, a puzzle box. I remember getting one of those for Christmas one year. I never could get it open though.
An old puzzle box with wooden pieces that slide if pushed in the right way. One base of it is a button that is waiting to be pressed. The bed looks like it has been untouched for a very long time. Not a thread out of place. You sit on the bed and it begins to creak loudly under your weight. You quickly stand back up.
Not designed for me, I guess.
You grab the hand mirror that you acquired and hold it in front of yourself, so that the ghost is reflected in its surface. Once she finishes charging her attack, she sends a ray of fear directly at you, which rebounds off the mirror and ends up hitting the ghost instead. She is overcome by fear and flees through the floor. One of the hands is coiled around a piece of parchment.
Excuse me.
You say as you pry the hand open, brittle finger bones snapping. A crumpled note that you add to your inventory. The note you found in the hand of a skeleton. The box opens up and you find a platinum key inside, which you take and add to your key loop. You use the platinum key that you found and unlock the door to the study, a room left in disarray. Papers are strewn across the floor and books are stacked in high piles. Run a finger down the spines of the books as you read the names. Unconventional potion crafting practices, secret lair interior design, arcane adipose, mind alteration and countermeasures, Yorubares cooking for others and other others, a bachelor's guide to romance volume Roman 7, you decide to stop checking. The more you learn of this master, the more embarrassed you are to have lost to him. A desk surrounded by books, the top of it is stained with ink splatters. Sitting in the middle of the desk on top of a stack of papers is a page covered in hastily written words. A slightly melted wax candle in a brass candlestick. You go to pick it up.
Mrs. Scarlet in the study with the candlestick. Hee hee.
Never mind.
You leave it where it was. Contract of some sorts that looks to have been written in a hurry. You give it a read, and it is the words of a madman, nonsensical ramblings about how the world has come to take what is his, and that if anyone wants his mirror then they must suffer for it. There is an open space at the bottom for someone to sign the contract.
I don't think that this is like the other curses we have encountered in this keep. I think it might cause some serious damage. We should find a way to either dispel or mitigate the damage.
Angie slides the gloves onto her hand and picks up the pen. Her small goblin hands don't even reach to the tips of the glove's fingers. She pulls it down until it is part way up her forearm.
I'm only doing this on the off chance that this will make me fatter. If I end up dead, I am going to haunt you way worse than any of the ghosts in here.
Angie messily scratches her name on the contract, and once she lifts the quill, there is a forceful blast that sends Angie flying backwards, slamming into the bookcase, and she falls to the ground on her hands and knees. Several books clatter to the ground and land on top of her.
Oh, what the fuck was that?
He says, trying to stand back up. However, her arms give out and she slumps to the ground, her body quickly piling on weight. Her ass billows upwards and presses against the bookcase, molding around the shelves and causing the wood to creak. Her stomach spreads out along the floor, and her chest fills out, pushing her up. Her arms grow plumper, and you can hear tearing as the gloves are torn asunder by the sudden influx of fat. Eventually, the curse runs its course, and with Angie running her hands up and down her jiggling, flabby ass.
The gloves worked a bit too good. The way the doc was talking, I was expecting to be smothered by my own booty. We get what we needed though.
You look to the desk and watch the contract go up in flames, a black key with an intricate design made of filigree left in its place. You walk over and add the key to your key loop.
Yeah, looks like it. Come on.
You say, helping Angie to her feet. A thud-thud. Angie has to work up to each step that she takes, shifting her weight in order to get one tree trunk-like leg around the other. Her belly swings like a pendulum with each step, and her breasts bounce and wobble so violently that they threaten to slap Angie in the face. Your exploration has come to a crawl as you wait for her to keep up with you all. Yet despite all of this, Angie looks elated, her face drenched in sweat from exertion. Each breath is heavy and labored, yet she still grins widely.
Goddamn, every time I get bigger I think, surely this is as big as I'll get, right? And yet I am constantly proven wrong. At this point, I'm starting to think that there is no upper limit to this, but I'm ready to find out.
If you insist, I did work up an appetite while wading in the dungeon,
Gina says, taking a plate and fork in hand. She takes a scoop of the flan and it jiggles enticingly. She slides the dessert in her mouth and swallows. No sooner than the treat passes lips does Gina realize the mistake she has made.
This is cursed.
You hear a gurgling noise as Gina's body begins to fill out with fat. Her chest billows outwards, her robe slowly rising higher as her ass and hips grow wider and rounder. Gina lets out a sigh.
Unless I finish this, I won't be able to move from this spot.
Resigned to her fate, Gina begins to hastily take bites from the dessert, her body swelling in kind. By the time she finishes, she must be double her initial weight, her large robes not looking nearly as loose as they did before.
Well, at least this wasn't entirely a waste. This was hidden inside the flan.
She says, handing you a small wooden key covered in the sugary treat. You wipe it clean and slide it onto your key loop.
Oh, these are magic items. Let me see if I can identify them.
Gina says, grabbing one of the knives, but as soon as she does,
Ahaha, finally a vessel to contain my hunger.
voracious and extremely obese ghost apparates above your party. A hungry look in her eyes as she stares down Gina.
Bon appetit.
Ghost swoops down and dives towards Gina. You try to block her approach, but she passes right through you and grabs to the sides of Gina's mouth. Gina looks more frustrated with herself than scared as the ghost forces Gina's mouth open and begins to shove itself inside, the incorporeal form squashing and deforming in order to fit. Gina's body contorts weirdly to accommodate the much bigger body of the ghost. Once the ghost has fully pushed herself into Gina, she stands in silence, her belly distended in an unnatural way.
Hey dog.
Angie asks, putting out a hand.
Sorry the doctor isn't in.
She shouts at Angie, eyes crazed and tongue lolling, the voice of the ghost coming from Gina's mouth. Possessed Gina brandishes the knife, causing you to put up your arms to shield Stephanie and Angie.
Hey, don't hurt her. She didn't do anything to you.
Stephanie, please,
It's not that she didn't do anything to me.
she says, turning her focus towards the rest of the kitchen.
It's more about...
She takes the knife and brings it to the kitchen counter and begins to slice. But rather than meeting the resistance of wood, it gives away like a moist piece of cake, and sure enough, she cuts off a slice and places it in her hand.
what she can do for me.
Gina then takes the slice of the counter, brings it to her mouth and bites. It crumples like cake as well. Quickly shoving it into her mouth, the ghost takes full control and sends Gina into an eating frenzy, cutting out slices from all over the kitchen. The wall, the floor, the hearth, cookware, all give way to whatever the knife comes into contact with, and soon ends up in the psychiatrist's belly. Already distorted belly begins to stretch out further, soon followed by the rest of her body, as the ghost continues to force her to gorge. The fabric around her chest stretches out further and groans as her breasts swell and grow. Her hips and ass flare out, her hourglass figure becoming even more prominent. The curve of her belly pressing into the fabric of her robe. Her body jiggles endlessly as she continues to eat. After what feels like too long, the feast of inedible objects comes to an end. The now much fatter Gina turns to you and with a satisfied look on her face says,
It has been too long since I last ate my fill. I feel sated after what feels like an eternity. I will release this girl so that the others may be able to feel this feeling.
Gina arches backwards, her arms spread wide. You see a movement within her belly and then a ghastly arm shoots out of her mouth, soon followed by the rest of the ghost. She gives a devilish grin to your party and turns tail, sailing towards the wall.
Merci.
Is all she says before disappearing. Gina collapses to the ground and Angie runs to her side. Gina looks up with a concerned look.
Damn it, I can't believe I let myself get caught off guard by that. I have no one to blame for my body besides myself.
Gina says, standing upright and wobbling as her heavy ass knocks her off balance.
Oh, shut up, this is way better anyway.
Angie says, slapping Gina's hefty rear. Gina's ass is so large that her robes no longer reach to the ground. You can see her feet peeking out from the bottom. She turns around suddenly to check the surroundings. The frustration on her face is clear. Her body lags behind slightly with the sudden movement, creating a truly obscene silhouette.
If someone has to do this, then I volunteer.
Gina takes the pot of tea and looks inside of it. The liquid is pitch black. You cannot see anything through the inky darkness of the cursed tea, let alone the key that you need.
Forgive me for not believing you outright, Mr. Ghost.
But of course, madam.
Gina tips the spout of the pot into her glass and begins pouring. It comes out looking a pleasant amber color and smelling similar to cinnamon. Gina takes the cup and begins to drink. As Gina methodically pours and drinks the tea, her body begins to expand in return. Her breasts press into the sides of her arms, threatening to envelop them as she tries to navigate the teacup around them. Her already wide hips grow wider, and her ass becomes even more impressive. Her robes have reached the tipping point and ride up, and revealing that she has been going commando this entire time. Stretch marks and dimples becoming more regular and pronounced as more weight settles on her curves. Eventually the last drops of the tea pour out of the spout, and Gina sips them back silently. The last of her newfound weight settles on her frame in a small burst that causes tits to bounce slightly. She calmly takes the lid off the pot, reaches inside and pulls out a key with a ruby head.
Thank you for the drink. It was as delicious as you promised. I understand why you didn't want it to go to waste.
You are too kind, madam.
Well, it happened. Gina's body has grown so much that not even her large flowing robes can contain her massive curves. You catch Gina checking out her rear and giving it a cursory squeeze.
Shameful.
She mutters to herself. Your party is searching the ballroom for anything of interest, and Gina is the one who ends up inspecting the piano. She places a finger on the piano and presses a key. As the sound reverberates through the room, a pale, translucent hand comes rising out of the lid of the piano, another ghost springing to life. Gina steps back.
I meant you no harm, spirit. We are just looking for a way out of this building, and we need to search every possible corner for clues.
There is no need to apologize. It has been so long since this piano has had an audience. I am sure that it is happy to have someone play it again, as am I. This hall used to be the only thing worth caring about in this god-forsaken place, but it has long been quiet and dull. Would you perhaps care to dance with me? Allow me to relive better times.
The spirit says, holding out a beckoning hand.
And will you help us if I do?
Gina asks.
I cannot personally help you, but I will allow you access to the piano, which I happen to know will help you on your journey.
The ghost replies.
Very well then, lead the way.
Gina says, taking the ghost's hand, allowing herself to be led to the middle of the ballroom. As if on cue, the piano begins to play on its own. A beautiful melody spreads through the room like a wave. The purple ethereal energy fills the room and swirls around Gina's feet. Hand in hand, the ghost leads the two of them in an elegant waltz, the two of them flowing like mist over a morning lake. As the dance continues, however, you and the other onlookers can see that spirit, who was surprisingly slim for one trapped within this keep, begins to grow. As the music swells, so does the spirit, her belly growing heavy, her face rounding, and the curve of her ass becoming steeper. The purple energy begins to glow with more fervor, and the tempo of the song that is playing picks up.
Yes, let's keep dancing together. I've not felt this feeling in so long.
She moans in pleasure, and Gina continues to glide across the dance floor. The pace at which the ghost swells only picks up, though she does not appear to be the only one. Completely caught up in the moment, Gina doesn't even notice that she's growing along with the apparition. Every time the two turn, Gina's breasts swing more and more noticeably as they swell in size. Every time she is dipped, her ass grows closer to touching the ground just due to its sheer size. Despite her put-together demeanor, Gina begins to show signs of exhaustion, her face getting flush and sweat beginning to pool at the neck of her robe. As the music comes to an end, Gina places her hands on hips and takes a couple of long, controlled breaths. It's only when she notices how much further she has to put out her hands in order to reach the sides of her hips though she notices what has happened to her. She shakes her head in frustration and rejoins the rest of her party.
Thank you, I haven't been this fulfilled in ages. I hope that you are able to unshackle us from this place. I am ready to move on now that my wish has been met.
Now Ob's ghost says to you all from above your heads. Gina's belly has begun to hang out from the bottom of her robes. That, in conjunction with her wide hips, thick thighs, and titanic tits, makes it so that her lower half is completely exposed.
Hey, Gina, you're kinda showing right now.
You say to her. She looks at you, completely dead-eyed and obviously over today.
Honestly, it's what I deserve at this point. I can't point to anyone but myself for how I look right now.
Oh, sure, I guess.
You can't really relate to that feeling. No matter how angry you were with yourself, you couldn't imagine being indifferent to flashing your privates. Maybe Gina is not being entirely honest with her motives, probably not your place to get involved anyway. On one hand, Gina has gotten so fat that her robe only can accommodate her massive breasts, leaving her heaving belly and flabby ass free to wobble and bounce in the open, which is very distracting to everyone in the party. But on the other hand, her belly is now covering her privates with how low it hangs, so at least she isn't flashing everyone. Gina has to grab and pull on her belly to keep herself from losing balance, which, based on the look on her face, is not something that she has a problem with.
Huff, maybe you should all take the stairs first. I don't know how safe it will be to follow behind me.
I am willing to take that risk.
Angie says lustfully. Gina slides the gloves onto her hand and picks up the pen. The pattern on the back of them glitter in the light.
These gloves certainly do have some magical properties to them. Hopefully it is strong enough to counter whatever the master of this keep had in store.
Gina says, rolling up her sleeve as she leans over the contract. Gina signs her name in a barely legible scribble befitting of a doctor. Once she lifts the quill, there is a forceful blast that sends Gina flying backwards, slamming into the bookcase, and she falls to the ground on her hands and knees. Several books clatter to the ground and land on top of her.
Or, well, on the plus side, I'm not dead, but on the other hand, I can tell that we aren't quite done yet.
She attempts to try to stand up, only to be immediately pulled back down by a sudden surge to her chest size. However, her arms give out and she slumps to the ground, her body quickly piling on weight. Her chest begins to inflate, spreading out in front of her. You can see down the collar of her robes, and her cleavage grows more pronounced, and the curves of her tits almost reach up to her chin. At the same time, her hips and thighs grow wider, the full round curves of her ass pressing into the heels of her feet as it grows in size. Her belly hangs trying to reach the ground, but it is losing the race to her breasts, which keep pushing her higher. Eventually, the curse runs its course, and Gina wraps her arms under her chest and lifts, trying to give herself enough momentum to stand back up.
Well, I guess this is preferable to the alternative, but I'm not going to pretend that I am thrilled about this. Now, what did we get?
You look to the desk and watch the contract go up in flames, a black key with an intricate design made of filigree left in its place. You walk over and add the key to your key loop.
Well, it looks like we definitely needed to do that, so at least you didn't get chunky for nothing.
You say, helping Gina to her feet.
Gina, you're...
Stephanie points out that Gina's gotten so large that the bottom of her robes don't even reach down far enough to cover her massive chest. Gina tries to pull down her robe and it manages to stretch down far enough to cover her areolas before her chest falls out and bounces violently, causing her to lose her balance and send her toppling forward. She lands heavily on the ground with a F-womp. Her ass wobbles back and forth like the water in a bathtub as it slowly comes to rest.
Sai, could somebody give me a hand?
Wait.
Angie yells, rushing over to Gina and leaping onto her bed-sized ass, laying down on it face first.
Just give me a minute first.
As you all ascends the creaking staircase to the attic, the air grows thick with an oppressive, almost tangible weight. The dim light filtering through the cracks in the wooden walls creates long shadows. The attic is vast but feels claustrophobic, filled with old, forgotten furniture draped in dusty sheets, cobwebs thick in every corner, and the stale smell of neglect. You all stop in your tracks as you see what you came here for. A large, ornate mirror stands at the back of the room. The same purple energy that you have seen all over the keep pours from its surface, more potent than it has ever been, But more worrying is the who is guarding it. Immense ghost lay on the ground in front of the mirror, her eyes hollow, wide, and glowing red. Her body piles on top of itself, every curve of her body bloated with fat. She is slumped over, taking up a large amount of space on the ground, the energy pouring from the mirror and seeping into her body. She is slow to react, but soon takes notice of your party's presence. Her head slowly tilting to make direct eye contact with you. Deep, mournful groan escapes her lips as she shifts her massive form, the floorboards beneath her creaking ominously. The chains of ethereal energy tethering her to the mirror clink softly as she moves, their ghostly glow matching the cursed light that emanates from the mirror's surface. Her red eyes bore into you, filled with a mixture of sorrow and a malevolent hunger that sends a chill down your spine. For a moment, it seems as though she is trying to speak, her mouth opening and closing as if struggling to form words. But instead, a wave of gluttonous energy surges from the mirror, passing through her and washing over your party. The air grows heavy with the scent of rich, decadent food, and your stomach growls wildly. You are begin to be taken by an overwhelming desire to eat, your better judgment being overshadowed by thoughts of
Food, eat, anything's, everything.
that makes you want to turn back into the keep, and to find that pot of mysterious soup that sudden sounds so appealing to you. As you're about to turn on your heels and run back down the way you came, a soft tune cuts through the noise and thoughts in your head, and helps you come back to your senses. Stephanie has pulled out her harp and is playing the tune that you played earlier on the grand piano downstairs. The magic imbued within her music helps to quell the wave of gluttonous energy pouring from the mirror. And as Stephanie plays, the large ghost watches her in what can only be described as confusion. The ghost's red eyes narrow as she watches Stephanie, her hollow gaze fixed on the harp strings as they are plucked with delicate precision. The soothing melody fills the attic with an ethereal calm, pushing back against the oppressive energy emanating from the cursed mirror. Ghost shifts slightly, her massive form trembling as if caught between the curse's power and the music's magic. Her confusion deepens, and for the first time, a flicker of something other than malevolence appears in her expression, a distant recognition, perhaps, of a life before the curse, before the sorcerer's cruel magic had transformed her into this monstrous being. The chains that bind her to the mirror rattle softly, as though responding to her inner turmoil, tightening their grip on her spirit as she tries to pull away, if only for a moment. Seeing an opportunity, Gina cautiously approaches the ghost. The ghost begins to moan at her, but it does not attack. Gina raises her hands to the sides of the ghost's head.
I don't think that she's hostile by choice. You see these chains that bind her? I think she is just as much a captive as we are. We should try and communicate with her.
Gina begins to mutter an incantation, and her hands let off a soft white glow. The ghost moans grow louder and it pulls on its chains. Dust falls from the ceiling as she tugs on the mirror that does not seem to budge, despite her thrashing. Gina's spell finishes, and a projection that peers into the ghost's memories begins to play before you. Laying out before you is the events that led to the ghost's situation. You see a young woman of royalty jubilantly dancing a ball within the keep's ballroom, soon followed by her imprisonment within one of the cells of the keep, where she grows fatter and fatter as her captor forces his will upon her. Then you see her within this very attic. Her expression is vacant as she mindlessly gorges on food, growing to the size you see her now. Lastly, you see her being chained to the mirror, becoming the anchor for its twisted magic. As the final image fades, the projection lingers for a moment before dissipating into the ether. The ghost's once hollow eyes now seem to shimmer with a spark of recognition, as if the memories Gina had unveiled stirred something deep with inherent echo of the person she once was before the curse took hold. The room is silent, save for the soft, mournful sound of the ghost's labored breathing, her immense form trembling with the weight of both her physical mass and the sorrow of her past. Gina steps back, her expression a mix of sympathy and resolve.
She's not our enemy.
Gina says softly, her voice cutting through the heavy atmosphere.
She's a victim just like many others. If we can break these chains, we might be able to free her from the curse. But we have to be careful. The mirror's power is still strong and it won't let her go easily.
Stephanie nods, her hands still gently strumming the harp, keeping the ghost calm.
I don't think we can't destroy the mirror while she's connected to it. We need to find a way to get these chains off of her first.
Angie comes strutting up to you and swipes the hand mirror from out of your carrying pouch.
PSSH, you guys are way overthinking this.
Hip checking Gina out of the way.
I've got a better idea. Hey, you overgrown blob.
Angie taunts, her voice dripping with mockery.
What's the matter? Too stuffed to get off your lazy ass? Or maybe you're just too scared to face us. Oh boo-hoo, I got to eat myself into a bouncy castle, whatever.
Ghost's hollow eyes flash with fury, her chains rattling as she struggles to rise. Her form quivers with rage, and a pulse of gluttonous energy surges toward Angie, the force of it making the air ripple. But Angie stands her ground, not flinching as the wave of malevolent power bears down on her. In the split second before the energy strikes, Angie pulls out the hand mirror from behind her back, holding it up with both hands. The cursed energy slams into the mirror's reflective surface, which glows with an eerie light. The mirror absorbs the dark magic, the cursed energy swirling within its glass for a heartbeat before it rebounds, shooting back toward the ghost with twice the intensity. The ghost's eyes widen in shock as her own power is turned against her, the reflected energy slamming into her with full force. The chains binding her to the mirror shudder violently, and a hollow echo erupts from the ghost's stomach, the hunger setting in on her.
Why did you do that?
You yell as the ghost begins to look around desperately for something to eat.
Oh, I saw a big energy blast and thought that would like break the chains. We reflected an attack with this before, so you know, Zelda logic.
Angie stumbles through her thought process, but is cut off by the sound of floorboards being torn up. In her desperation, the ghost has begun to eat anything that she can get her hands onto. She plunges her hands into the floor of the attic and rips up the floorboards, before shoving them into her mouth, her already massive body growing larger still as she begins to devour her surroundings. The mirror begins to glow stronger in response to all the gluttony on display. Attic trembles under the ghost's ravenous hunger, each bite causing her to swell larger, her form expanding with every piece of wood she crams into her mouth. The mirror behind her pulses violently, feeding off the gluttony, its cursed energy growing stronger as the ghost's body continues to bloat and distort. Dust and debris rain down from the ceiling as the walls groan under the strain of her increasing mass. Attic trembles under the ghost's ravenous hunger, each bite causing her to swell larger, her form expanding with every piece of wood she crams into her mouth. The mirror behind her pulses violently, feeding off the gluttony, its cursed energy growing stronger as the ghost's body continues to bloat and distort. Dust and debris rain down from the ceiling as the walls groan under the strain of her increasing mass.
We've got to stop her before she brings the whole place down.
Stephanie cries out, her fingers strumming her harp frantically in an attempt to maintain the calming melody. But the music, though still effective, is barely holding back the tide of gluttony that now threatens to overwhelm the room. Gina quickly surveys the room, her mind racing.
The mirror's power is linked to her consumption. The more she eats, the stronger it becomes.
She shouts, realizing the dire situation.
We have to sever that connection now, or she'll consume everything, including us.
The others are panicking. You notice something. As the purple energy continues to pulse from the mirror, you see something dancing in the waves. One of the chains that was connected to the ghost seems to have snapped. You follow where it originally was connected to, and see the is used to be attached to her neck, but as she grew larger the chain snapped, unable to stay wrapped around the ghost's thickness.
Wait, we have to keep feeding her.
You yell as the room groans and creaks, the floor below the ghost giving way as she continues to consume. You run over to one of the covered pieces of furniture and push it towards the ghost. The others turn to you with wide eyes, confusion etched on their faces.
What do you mean, feed her?
Stephanie asks, her fingers momentarily faltering on the harp strings. You point to the ghost, now mindlessly devouring everything within reach, and then to the broken chain that once bound her. Look, the chains can't hold her if she keeps growing. If we keep feeding her, she'll outgrow all of them, and the mirror won't be able to keep her tethered. Gina's eyes light up with realization.
Of course, the chains are magically reinforced, but they have a limit. If she becomes too large, they'll snap, and she'll be free from the mirror's control.
Without hesitation, Angie jumps into action, joining you in shoving more pieces of furniture toward the ghost. The ghost grabs at them hungrily, stuffing them into her mouth as her body continues to swell, the chains around her arms straining under the pressure. Each link groans, on the verge of breaking, as the mirror's once overwhelming glow begins to flicker, struggling to maintain its hold on her ever-expanding form. As the space in the room begins to run out and the support beams in the room begin to groan and crack, you finally hear it. The chains around her arms give way, and the ghost woman is broken free of her confines. The mirror grows silent, with no source for its power. It becomes dormant. The ghost blinks at you, her eyes coming to life for the first time, and she looks at like a lost puppy. Laying on top of her, mammoth breasts with the rest of her body, rising like a mountain behind her. Without hesitation, you run over to the mirror and are easily able to pick it up. With one decisive overhead swing, you slam the mirror into the ground. Mirror explodes into shards, each fragment twinkling with a fading purple glow before turning to dust and scattering across the floor. The cursed energy that once filled the room dissipates in an instant, leaving behind a heavy silence, punctuated only by the creaking of the weakened floorboards and the labored breathing of the now unchained ghost. Turn to face her, her massive form still dominating the attic, but her expression is no longer one of mindless hunger. Instead, her eyes snow soft and warm lock onto yours, filled with gratitude and relief. The ghost, once a prisoner of her own curse, seems almost childlike as she gazes at you, her earlier fury and torment replaced by a profound sense of peace. Attic feels lighter, the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The chains that once bound her lie broken and scattered, powerless without the mirror's influence. The ghost, no longer tethered to the cursed artifact, offers you a small, shy smile, and she speaks to you for the first time before she slowly begins to fade away. The curse that had held all these spirits bound to the keep finally broken.
Thank you.
Having finally completed what you needed to in order to escape, you and the rest of your party turn around and head back downstairs. As you begin to descend through the keep, you begin to experience the now familiar sensation of your vision going black, as Ophelia's voice starts to echo through your head.
Having lifted the curse placed on the keep by its master, the party begins their journey back down through the keep. The purple haze obscuring the outside world has lifted, and vibrant hills and lush forests can be seen through the windows. The sun beams down on your skin, and the warmth of it reaches to your very core. Halls are vacant once more, and the calm silence rests over the keep. The legacy of the sorcerer and his misdeeds finally put to rest by your efforts. You confidently approach the front door and swing it open, the open road just below your feet. The keep overlooks a bustling town, and you decide that you should restock and recuperate there before making the long journey back to your adventurers' guild.
Your eyes shoot open, and you find yourself in the comfort of your own home once again. You hug the clothes that you are wearing and say,
It is so good to be wearing something that isn't falling apart again.
Speak for yourself. I kinda like the who exhibitionism thing I had going on.
Angie says, standing to her feet and stretching. You have gotten so used to seeing her as a goblin that you are thrown off by her fair skin.
Steph, you mind if we start doing this in the buff?
Ange, I don't want to have to plastic wrap all my furniture every time you come over. I'm gonna veto the new D&D idea.
Seconded.
Gina says, also getting to her feet.
Listen, I hate to leave so abruptly, but that session was quite long and I am famished. We can talk more about the session over the Discord. That okay with you, Stephanie?
Oh yeah, no problem, I'm starving too, so I know what you're feeling. Fingers crossed that next time we aren't exploring a place. While that can be fun, that takes a lot of brain power. Wouldn't mind just bonking some bad guys on the head next time.
You can see Stephanie glance over at Ophelia with that statement, and you see Ophelia turn up her nose at the comment.
It's not my fault that you humans couldn't fit a round peg into a circle hole without it being spelled out for you.
Yeah, cool, sounds good. Come on, Doc, there is a triple-decker burger and milkshake just calling my name, and I know that you want one too.
That you all call it for the evening, Gina and Angela waving goodbye as they head out to get their meal, while you and Stephanie end up eating the night away. By the time you go to bed, the table is covered in empty dishes, containers, and beer cans. You rarely feel as hungry as you do after just finishing one of Ophelia's D&D campaigns.